Hello there. I'm finally getting out for a nice walk in Sonoma. We've had a lot of cold and rain, which gives me a good excuse to not get out and walk. But I'm out here and it feels really great. And when I walk, it's the time that I think a lot about things and strategize and process feelings and thoughts and emotions and ideals and plans, goals. It's so great for that. I don't know why that happens, if it's your endorphins or what. Probably. But anyways, I also haven't been walking much because I'm grieving. I lost my mom on December 22nd. She was kind enough to not leave this earth on Christmas Day, and I was relieved about that. But needless to say, it was a sad Christmas for us, and surreal. That's the word I keep using over and over again. Everything is so surreal now. I'm glad my mom's suffering is over. She had about 5 months of pain and suffering. I know some people have years of pain and suffering, so I guess in the scheme of things, that might be considered a short time, but colon cancer is a pretty aggressive, highly symptomatic way to go. We were trying to manage her pain, of course, but then she had extreme nausea, which I think was even worse, and vomiting and retching. And towards the end, a lot of delirium, which was extremely painful to see. But it's all over now. I got through it. I'm feeling a mixture of a lot of emotions, of course. Sadness, relief, melancholy, gratitude. I'm grateful to my mom for a lot of things. And so it's bittersweet for sure. She did live to a ripe old age of 92, but I tell you, I would rather die quickly than go through that. We don't have any choice, of course, but these lingering illnesses of Alzheimer's, cancer, all these other long-lasting ways of dying are challenging, to say the least. So it was just difficult. I'm going to walk in this maze. I'm at this winery. Let's turn you around. And there's this neat maze that you can walk through. Ooh. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's very difficult to suffer for long periods of time, and for your loved ones to see you suffering is difficult too. But going through this experience has really made me realize how time goes by so quickly, and we don't have the luxury of assuming we have all this time left. So for many years I had a bit of a, to be real honest here, a codependent relationship with my mom. And I didn't feel like I could leave her. She was single like I was, and we depended on each other a lot to help each other through crises, health-wise and other. So I'm grateful for that relationship, but it definitely caused me to put a lot of my own plans on hold. In particular, I got to show you this gorgeous winery here. And in particular, travel and getting out on the road. Oh, they're playing, is that Barry Manilow? Gotta love it. It's called Buena Vista Winery in Sonoma, where I live. And you'll never find. I love it. And look at that, a frame. I love living in such an interesting, artistic, upscale area, I must say. I really love it. It's going to be hard to leave. I'm really lamenting that fact, that it's so beautiful here, and it's a gorgeous place to live. Sonoma County is just stunningly beautiful. But getting back to what I was talking about, I put a lot of my plans on hold because I was trying to be there for my mom. And she always worried a lot about me getting out on the road. She didn't really want me to. So I feel like now I can do it without worrying that I'm worrying my mom. And I feel a sense of freedom to do that, so that's nice. Now look at this building. Oh my gosh, gorgeous. I love this stonework. Love the landscaping. I'm a very visual person. I like to do photography, always have, so did my mom. My mom was a talented photographer. And I love living in an area where there's all this visual beauty to see, I must say. But this winery has been around a long, long time. I think it says 1857 there. Let's see what this plaque says. It's National Register of Historic Places, constructed 1864, rehabbed in 2012. It's called the Cellar Building. So that is very cool. Oh, look. Entry by guided tour only. Okay, we'll just take a peek here. Isn't that cool? Wow, love it. Unfortunately, I can't drink wine. If I could, I would. I love wine, but it gives me terrible, terrible, terrible migraines. Anything fermented. Look at this cool door, I love it. Anything fermented, like wine, soy sauce, things like that, give me a headache. Vinegar's in everything, so it really challenges me to find stuff I can eat. So anyways, I realized with my mom's passing, like I was talking about, that we don't have a lot of time, and I want to make the most of the time I have left on this planet. And there's a lot of dreams that I didn't get to realize in my life, sadly. But one of my dreams was to travel. That I got from my father. My mom did not like to travel that much, but my father really did. He was kind of ahead of his time. He actually lived out of his RV at the end of his life for several years and traveled all over in this little tiny Dolphin RV. And he just loved the life. He's the one that introduced me to the idea of living in a RV. He was doing this way back in the 90s, 80s, 90s. I remember many times him living in the most cute little RVs. He would always find those small RVs. And anyways, I want to realize at least one of my dreams, which is more in my power to do, which is to travel and get out there and realize this dream of traveling across the United States. There's so much of my own country I haven't even seen, you know. That was the coolest building. Gosh, I love it. But it is hard to leave this gorgeous area in my nice apartment. But I got a little inheritance, and I feel like this is the time for me to get out on the road with a little bit of funds to make me feel more secure. That was another thing that was stopping me from going, is not really having enough of an emergency fund. And thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mom. Thank you for leaving me a little bit of an inheritance. And now I feel like I could get out on the road with a more secure feeling of knowing I have something in case of emergency. So my thinking now is that I want to start the downsizing process of getting rid of things in my apartment. It's ironic because, you know, we had to downsize my mom's apartment, and it made me realize that it's so easy for us to get so much stuff, right? And then when it's time to downsize, you're like, whoa, how did I fit all this stuff in here? Oh my gosh, I've got everything stuffed into every nook and cranny there is. And my mom, one of the qualities I loved about my mom, because I've never seen it very often in other people, is she had this wonderful taste, and she loved quality. So everything my mom had was quality. You know, she spent some money, but you know, they were long lasting. Everything from her clothes to her linens to her pillows to her crystals to her kitchen items. She had the best of everything, and she didn't have a lot of money, but she put a lot of stock in buying quality things. And I love that about her. I think it was something about her era, born in 1931, that appreciated quality. I don't know if that was it or just her personality, but we had a lot of stuff that we had to downsize, and it was extremely difficult because so much of it I wanted because it's such good quality stuff. And I did take a lot, and we've got a lot in storage that we still need to go through and figure out what we're going to do with, but we don't have room to store a lot of this stuff. So it was really painful to have to sell a lot of my mom's beautiful quality furniture for next to nothing. I mean, it's changed. I used to have a lot of garage sales in Los Angeles in the 80s and 90s, and I could sell stuff for a pretty penny, and I mean, not a pretty penny, but at least decent, you know. Well, now people don't want to pay anything. Want to pay next to nothing. We had to sell my mom's beautiful French provincial inlaid pecan dining set with these beautiful chairs for like $150. And online, it's like, I don't know, $2,000, $3,000. So it's really painful. But anyways, I have to be mindful that when we do go through the storage, that I don't take on more stuff, because I have to start this process of downsizing myself. And doing that painful thing of throwing out things that you love. Well, you know what? I'm going to try not to throw out things that I love. I'm going to do that process from that show, Kondo, I think her name was. You hold something in your hand and you say, does this spark joy in me? And if the answer is yes, keep it. If the answer is no, let it go. And the other question I think to ask yourself is, have you used it in the last 6 months? Anyways, I think that process is going to take me several months. So my thinking now is shooting for the spring or early summer for leaving, getting out on the road. I've been putting, of course, a lot of thought into, should I buy a new rig? Should I buy an old rig? Should I stick with what I have? Should I go with this setup, that setup? I mean, it's just exhausting to try to figure that all out. What I've landed on for now, and that could change, because I keep changing my mind, is I'm actually thinking I'm going to do a lot more pet sit jobs, some paid, some not paid, on the road. I have a Facebook friend who's been doing it for 2 or 3 years now, full time, where she goes from one sit to the next, and she absolutely loves it. There's some downsides to it, as there is to everything. The constant loading and unloading of your stuff, being in other people's space, being in other people's beds. And if you're a bit of like I'm a mild to moderate germaphobe, it's always been a little challenging for me to stay in other people's homes. First thing I do when I get there is pull out the sanitation wipes and wipe everything down, and change the sheets or wash them again or whatever I feel like I need to do. But most of the time people have been pretty good about leaving me a clean house, which I really appreciate. Okay, my arm's getting tired, but the hand is okay. So anywho's, this is jewelry that my mom left me. Isn't it gorgeous? My mom, like I said, was a visual aesthetic person. She was a photographer. And when she gave up photography, which she had to because of bursitis, not able to carry the equipment anymore, she was in her early 60s, so she had to figure out a new way to keep busy. So she started making jewelry. She took a class and loved it, and started making jewelry and selling them at little shops. And she'd go to these fairs and sell them, and sell them to friends. And my sister and I got a lot of the jewelry that she made as well. And when she passed, we started to go through all of her furniture, and jewelry, in which we still need to go through it. We're just blown away by how much she has. Good thing about jewelry is it's small, right? So you can keep a lot of that without it taking up a lot of room. So I'm really enjoying the jewelry I have so far from her, including these. And then I have a little necklace with a little clove on it. There's a lot of things today. I'm feeling a lot of gratitude for Mom because, like I said, she had such wonderful taste. So I'm enjoying her beautiful things, like these beautiful crystals that she saved. Her jewelry. I inherited some of her silver, like a little bit. She actually had a mismatching set of silver, and I was missing some pieces, so I found it. It's an old pattern, but I found it, and it was spendy. But I wanted to have one set of silver for myself, utensils, to treat myself when I want to cook myself a nice meal and make it fancy for myself. So thanks to Mom, I now have this beautiful silver, just one set. That's all I could afford. That I can sit down with and enjoy. I also inherited a lot of beautiful linen handkerchiefs from Mom, you know, like those ones from the 30s and 40s and 50s with beautiful patterns on them. I could use one right now. I need to start carrying something in my pocket. Carrying one in my pocket. Okay. Change of arm. So, anywho's, I need to be careful and not take on too much stuff because I really do need to do this downsizing process. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up putting a lot into storage. But planning on getting rid of most of my furniture, which takes up the most space. But not my bed, which I love my bed. I will miss that bed. Isn't it funny? It's like something like that. I think about, oh, I'm going to miss my bed. Every time I've slept in other people's beds, I'm like, nope, not as good as mine. Not as good as the one I designed and put together. It's the best bed, so I'm going to miss that bed. But that's going to go into storage. It's not easy to store, but I'll do it. So I'm hoping to get a small storage unit. The more I can downsize up, obviously, the better. And I'm thinking I'm going to do house sits and pet sits, mostly pet sits, all over the country. And then in between, when I'm not doing a house sit, camp in my trailer. I'm thinking that would give me the best of both worlds. I have no doubt that I will be able to get plenty of house sits. I have a lot of great reviews already because I did some house sits a couple of years ago. So I've got some great reviews. I've been doing pet sitting on a app for a number of years now, and I have a lot of wonderful reviews there. So I don't have any doubt that I can get these jobs. The question is, you know, how long for, and I'll have to figure out where I want to go, of course. But that's where I'm leaning because I spent so much money on my trailer. I hate to turn around and sell it for such a loss. I'm no doubt I'd have to take a big loss on it. And I think you can't live in that trailer full time. That just would be too hard. There's not enough shelter. I love that trailer, but for full time, it's just, I watch a couple YouTube channels of these younger guys that have done it, but even they said, you know, they would want something with shelter. So I think that's the way I'm going to go. And that way I'm getting kind of the best of both worlds. I get to stay, a lot of times these homes I stay in are quite beautiful. A multi-million dollar homes sometimes. And I'll have good internet to do my job, which is important. So that's one of my main concerns, is can I work easily on the road without it being a nightmare, hassle, and constant stress. And the nice thing is when you do these house sits, you kind of feel like a local, you know. You really, you know, you go to the local grocery stores and restaurants and stuff, and you really feel like you're immersed in that culture. So I like that idea a lot. As much as I would love to have a pet and their company, right now I'm glad I don't have one because I wouldn't be able to do this house sitting. pet sitting job. It's not as easy. I know that some people can, but you have to make sure the dogs get along. That's a little bit more challenging. So that's where my thinking is. I'll start lining up some sits, I don't know, May, June, something like that, and get this show on the road. So that's the thinking. And as sad as I am to leave this stunningly gorgeous area, I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of different places and exploring, and I think it would be really good for my grieving process and mental health, and make me a little busier. It's a little easy when you're living in an apartment to get too used to just staying in the comfort of your home behind your door and sitting around watching TV and being online or whatever, and not getting out enough. And again, like I realized with my mom passing away, this is the time for me to really get out and realize this dream I've long held of traveling more. My hope is I've only been overseas to Paris. That was it. That's it. So I'm hoping I can book some house sits, pet sits abroad at some point. So that's the hope and the dream. So that's where it's at. My walk is coming to an end here. It feels really great to be out. Let me show you some of beautiful Sonoma vines. Our sky is incredibly blue today after all the rain we've been having. Oh my goodness, it's just stunningly gorgeous. So right now, of course, the vines are dormant, but this is what a winery looks like. We have them all over the place, of course, and they're quite beautiful, particularly when at some point they get these golden leaves on them, and they're just stunningly gorgeous. I've gotten a lot of great photographs of those golden colors. You can hike up in those mountains and get quite the workout because it's pretty steep. I've done it a couple of times, but not today. I'm a bit out of shape. Haven't been doing my daily walks for a long time, so I've got to work myself up to that. So I hope this finds you excited for the new year. I'm excited. I'm sad and I'm excited. It's kind of a weird contradicting feelings, but change is hard, I am scared because leaving behind the familiarity of my routine, my belongings, my bed, my apartment, this area, I'm definitely scared to do the unknown and be in other people's spaces and not have, I'm a little worried about not having my own little home, like in an ideal world I could buy a new RV and have my own little home to travel in, but I don't want to spend that kind of money. If anything, with this little inheritance I got, I want to invest it and make the money grow, and I want to be spending it. So I'm trying to be financially responsible right now and not go out and spend it on some expensive RV. I could buy used, of course, but I don't know, I'm so nervous about buying something used and having it be a nightmare or a money pit, it just is also a worry. So I feel like with my trailer, less things can go wrong with it. I'd be pulling it with my reliable car. Less things can go wrong. So I feel like the stress, I'm always thinking about how can I reduce my stress, because I have a lot of stress. I think, maybe compared to some people's lives, I don't. I'm not trying to take care of children and grandchildren and pets. And, as a single person, you have a less stress in a lot of ways, but you have a lot more work because you have to do everything yourself, right? So in any case, I'm always looking to see how can I reduce the stress in my life. So whatever I can do to do that is my thinking all the time. So that's why I'm so scared to buy something used, as I'm not mechanically inclined. So I feel like this could be a less stress situation, staying at people's homes, which I've done so many times and I already know what that's like. And, the trailer being a simple setup, there's less things that can go wrong. Okay, so I'm going to sign off. This video's getting long. So I wish you health, happiness, prosperity, anything that your heart desires in 2024. Happy New Year, everyone. Bye for now.